On this edition of Emeril's Florida, we're saluting businesses that are owned and operated by United States military veterans. We're going to visit one more veteran-owned restaurant, the Yellow Dog Café. The owner here is an Army veteran, and together with his wife, they've built a great business for themselves, serving up what they call comfort food with a flair. We'll be right back. Our last stop on our veteran-owned and operated episode takes us to Malabar, Florida. It's located in the part of the state known as the Space Coast. We're heading to the Yellow Dog Café. It's owned by Nancy and Stuart Borton. Stuart is an Army veteran who grew up on a farm in Michigan.
We were farmers. You get up in the morning, you'd milk the cows, you clean the stalls, you get ready to go to school. You think you get up early to school now.
And then why the Army?
I really was at a loss for
where you were going.
Where I was going. And the Army really provided me with some direction in my life.
Yep.
Had a couple of really good mentors in the Army.
Stuart served in the Army for 4 years, rising to the rank of sergeant. After finishing his service, he traveled to Australia, where he began his career as a restaurant owner at the age of 21.
I had some money saved up from being in the Army and off to Australia. I got in the restaurant business and just fell in love with it.
Stuart eventually sold the restaurant in Australia and came back to the States where he met and married Nancy. They moved to Florida and opened a restaurant in Mico, a town near Malabar. But the property where Yellow Dog now sits was where they really wanted to be.
One day we're driving by and it said for lease, for sale, and I said, oh my God. We bought it on credit cards. I know that sounds crazy, but most restaurateurs do crazy things like that.
Right.
Their credit cards continue to get a workout because they had to renovate the building.
Hi, how are you tonight?
But in 1998, Stuart and Nancy opened the Yellow Dog Café.
And little by little, we did one room at a time and built it.
Originally, this was a 2,000 square feet shack.
Yeah, basically it was falling into the river.
Stuart and Nancy have now expanded Yellow Dog to about 8,000 square feet, and it's become a go-to place on the Space Coast.
You guys collaborate on the menu?
She's the boss. I just cook what she tells me to.
So what do you stamp your food as?
Comfort food with a flair.
Food with a flair.
We actually trademarked that.
I wanted to see what comfort food with a flair is all about, so Stuart started us off with escargot and a puff pastry.
The escargot is a traditional escargot, creamy garlic sauce, lots of butter, wine. And there's usually plenty of sauce because people will end up eating the puff pastry as well.
Right.
It's delicious.
I would agree.
This is our herb crusted lamb. It's a New Zealand lamb. It's marinated in herb seasoning for about a day. And it's all about simplicity, using quality products and not worrying so much about some fancy technique to do it.
Delicious. Straightforward, right on the money. So tell us what we got here.
It's onion crusted chicken, and it has a caramel citrus glaze. Real simple. We don't do a lot to the chicken. We leave it nice plump in its natural state. We batter it lightly with a beer batter, and then we crust it with these delicious onions that we fry up. And it just comes out just so tasty.
That's crazy good. Simple, but so good.
The chef finished us off with a dessert sampler. It had bread pudding, a dog bone brownie, and what he calls a triple chocolate delight with a cannoli-type filling and potato chips.
Where do I start? The bread pudding?
The bread pudding, you can't go wrong with that. It's a classic bread pudding with sun-dried cherries and chocolate chips. Well, I wanted to do something different. I like making different desserts.
That is really good bread pudding. When I go here next, look at how rich and dense this is.
We had a guy make me a mold so I could bake those.
I love
individual. That's a tasty brownie.
Oh my God.
This one here is just it's a pretty dessert. If you can slice that all the way through and open it up, it's just layers on layer of flavor there. You're gonna taste this crunch of the potato chips in there, the saltiness of the potato chips, and then the creaminess of the cheese. A trifecta of desserts. There we go.
I want to thank you so much for having us here at the Yellow Dog Café.
It's a pleasure.
Your wife and you have been so delightful. Your hospitality, your food, your service, your staff. Cheers.
Cheers.
We want to thank all of the veterans we visited today for their hospitality, and we also want to thank them for their service to our country.